Hey guys, Cody with Evolution Personal Training. Now what you saw in the video lead-in was actually a sample of my regular morning, with the exception of the time. I don't usually wake up that early. Usually it's between 2:15 and 3 o'clock depending on the day. Sunday I give myself a little bit of a break and I get up at 5. But the first few minutes actually covers what I do every day. I am a very big fan of supplementation. Now I actually have a pretty early day, I have a pretty long day. I usually go to bed anywhere from 8 o'clock to midnight, depending on what it is that I've got to do the following day. But I'll see about 7 to 12 hours worth of clients every day. And as most everybody knows, I'm very specific with the type of training that I do for myself. 30 minutes a day of stretching and foam rolling, 90 minutes to 2 hours depending on the day of karate, and then 30 minutes 4 days a week of resistance training, plus cardiovascular activity depending on the particular day. Now, that's not so much to brag at all, but that's actually to address a very specific thing. How do you keep going whenever you have a long, stressful day? Now, you can't do that if you've got junk nutrition. And today we're talking about supplements because I consider supplementation to be an absolutely integral part of nutrition in the 21st century. Now, the very first few things you saw in those were my morning supplements, the things I would consider super essential. The biggest things were that first little orange-looking drink that you saw in the video. It's just a mix of Powerade Zero. If they would make this clear, then I would be the biggest fan of this in the world. As it stands, I'm probably the second biggest. I know I drink more of this every day than I do regular water. And I just mixed it with whey protein. I'm currently using the brand Rival Us. I didn't realize until just now that it's the exact same color packaging as my Powerade. That plays no part in that at all. But I think that most everybody, especially in the United States and Mexico, because of the type of proteins to which we have access, the sources of those proteins, especially ground meat, it's not the best protein, and it's harder for us to fight the ill effects that come from bad breeding, from bad nutrition that those animals have been exposed to. And it's not an indictment of any particular industry. That's just the fact that we don't always have the best sources of nutrition to rely on. But those two things I like every single day unless I'm drinking coffee, in which case I mix that into the coffee, not the Powerade, but I'll usually mix in something like coconut milk and coconut oil, which I didn't. I forgot to get a video of that because, again, you saw what time it was. Coconut oil, I'm a super huge fan of. It has some anti-inflammatory properties. It does inhibit a little bit of the appetite, a little bit of an appetite suppressant. It's also just a good fuel for fat. You will, if you take that first thing in the morning, you'll notice that you have a slightly clearer mind. As the day progresses, it gets you to your next meal because of the appetite suppressant, and you've got a little bit more energy. Now, that's my base stack. My unbased stack is those little tablets that you saw in the powder, I'm not sure which word there. I'm from Arkansas, so I get to write that one off. But my little capsules and tablets that you saw sitting on the tablet, there's a few things there. Number one, there's the vitamin B complex. I like vitamin B 125 from Vitamin Shop. Typically, I would prefer it in a capsule, but I haven't seen that available anywhere for some time. But if you go for vitamin B complex, I recommend for most anybody of any physical size or age, the vitamin B complex 125 usually has your best mix of the Bs and some really helpful things to take in along with that. Now, the little round tablets that you saw, that's a nootropic, and we're going to circle back to that topic towards the end of this video because it's such a dense thing to get into. But vinpocetine is responsible for baseline neural health. And we're using health in every time I mention it in this video as we defined it before. Health being just the state of working super efficiently, or working as efficiently as the organism can. It's going to break up lipofuscin, which is responsible, probably won't show up in video, but it's responsible for things like birthmarks, age spots. It's also something that can accrete in neurons and decrease the overall charge of that particular neuron. It can decrease your ability to have thoughts. In fact, if you study the brains, I'm not recommending you do this. I'm not sure Dr. Frankenstein can get a medical license anymore, but if you look at studies that have been done on the brains of people with dementia and Alzheimer's, usually you see that they have a lot more lipofuscin in their brains than the average bear. That's not a healthy thing. The vinpocetine helps fight that, and also it's going to contribute to a more clear mind. I'm not going to get into the really deep science of it because I'll make it sound like bro science in the video, but it's a really good supplement. I take 20 milligrams every day. Now, the dosing of everything is actually in the bottom of the video. It's down there in the description. I I've also got a link to the company that I buy my vinpocetine, actually buy all my nootropics from, and the ones that I'm going to talk about in the video at the very end. This isn't sponsored, by the way. It's just a company that I'm a very big fan of. I buy all my stuff, nootropic-wise, from them. But in that powder, you had the beta-alanine, the citrulline malate. Beta-alanine being the amino acid which helps flush off the detritus or the broken down tissues from muscles that just accretes from the act of moving. Also, the citrulline malate, it functions in a similar way in that it increases the endurance of the muscle, but it does so through a slightly different pathway. Again, if I explain it here on this short video, then we're going to get into some bro science. But it helps with any type of cramping or isotonic tension in muscles, which I have a lot of. I actually have a lot of cramping, I have a lot of muscle pain from the spots on my back and my neck where everything was broken. Now, I didn't break my neck, but I do have some weird lateral curvature of the cervical vertebra. But I did break my back at T5, T6, T8. I have some extreme scoliosis where my back, as opposed to being on a lateral straight line, it curves up towards my left shoulder. And I dislocated my tailbone. It's actually rotated internally and tilted up so that it points towards my right knee. So I have a lot of issues. I've got dual leg sciatica. I've got cramping that penetrates into my torso that actually affects the intercostal muscles, the muscles that will help pull the lungs open, let you get a big deep breath. If you talk too long without taking a breath in between, I have cramps pretty much everywhere, and there's just a generalized sensation of pain. The beta-alanine and the citrulline malate let me get through my 12 hours with clients, let me get through my 2 hours a day of martial arts, my 30 minutes of stretching and foam rolling, my 30 minutes of resistance training, and it helps me increase my overall health and fitness, and it helps enhance my physique because I'm able to put out that energy in a healthy way over a longer period. Now, I also use something topically. It's not so much a drug, but it's Dale Dugas, and again, all this stuff is linked at the bottom, and none of it, I'm not going to make any money from any of this. DaleDugas.com, I use his gel. It kind of smells like a mix of syrup and cinnamon. It's a really pleasant smell. I use Tiger Exits the Forest because, as my clients know in my martial arts, I do iron palm, which is actually striking different surfaces. Right now, I'm using a bag full of pebbles for my iron hand training. I'm using a punch board to better do a proper vertical fist there. I train my different types of strikes, like my palm heel, my seiken, shuto, the karate chop. I train all that, and I use this essentially. And I also recommend jiao, deep da jiao, or deep da jiao. I genuinely don't know how to pronounce it. But I recommend this to all my clients, especially my nurses, for use on the feet and the ankles, because you are applying so much pressure there. For my surgeons, because you have so much fine motor movement here. And this is the most complex set of joints on your body, more so even than the spine. Really recommend this stuff. I can't actually speak highly enough of this particular mix. But I mentioned briefly the concept of nootropics. We covered the base supplements, the things I'd recommend for everybody. Now, I know there's a few things we didn't cover, like multivitamins. The reason for that is I don't like multivitamins. I feel like if you put all those together, you don't get enough of any one thing to make it effective. And also, if you see a mix of zinc, magnesium, and calcium, and you just put it together, apply a little bit of pressure, put in a little bit of liquid or anything of that nature, especially something acidic like the inside of your stomach, you're going to see it turn into a very bone-like material. You can't really digest it, and it also makes indigestible most of the other vitamins that aren't to the absolute surface of a multivitamin. So whenever you're doing vitamins, just take the vitamins that you need. But little tangent there. Another thing that you didn't see me take in this video is zinc and magnesium. I actually recommend that for every single person because most everybody in the United States is zinc and magnesium deficient. That can affect your mood, it can affect the quality of your sleep, the recuperative effects of that sleep. For guys, it can actually, a lack of magnesium and zinc can suppress your ability to produce testosterone naturally. And for a lot of guys, because of our exposure to weird xenoestrogens or chemicals that function like estrogen that are in the environment, especially our water, and if you live in places like El Dorado, Arkansas, it's in the air a lot. It's just a very unhealthy thing to be around. Suppresses our testosterone, which is responsible for a lot of different things, not just building of muscle tissue and maintenance of bone health and that kind of thing. It's absolutely essential for both male and female health, but guys especially will notice it. Now, I talked a minute ago about nootropics. I moved that to the end of this video because it's such a dense topic, and even in this section, I can't cover everything. But I'm going to cover the parts of the powder, that hashtag GainTZ that you saw me pour into my protein drink first thing today. Now, I take my vinpocetine as a tablet because it's just so much easier for me, because the taste, for whatever reason, causes a gag reflex for me. But I use a very specific mix every day. There is two things in it. There's the racetam and there's a choline. Now, when it comes to cholines, there's three big ones, and then there are several other choline sources, but there's three that are the most common and the most easy to understand, and there's three racetams, which are the most common and the most easy to understand. What do I use? I like aniracetam because it has a generalized effect on learning. You are going to be able to learn things faster, more quickly. Your verbal recall, obviously, will be enhanced. Your ability to remember things and to apply that information later on will be enhanced. I use that actually as the reason, or I say it's the reason, that I can remember my clients' workouts 5 or 6 clients deep, or 12 to 15 clients deep, depending on the size of the boot camps, number of sessions thereafter, without having to check notation, without having to check a clipboard, a dry erase board, or anything like that. It's really, really good for memory. It also has an anxiolytic effect, so you're not going to get as anxious, nervous, or scared at any given time. And a weird little effect of it is that you can see colors and you smell everything a little bit more clearly. Not so much more, but you can differentiate between things, and you can see slight variations in color you would not normally pick up. Now, I take the aniracetam with a choline source specifically because one of the mechanisms of action for a racetam is that it's going to enhance, or it's going to increase the uptick, or it's going to enhance the total amount of choline that you take per unit of time. And choline is just the things that you make your thought out of. But if you don't have a supplemental choline source to go with that racetam, you are going to see a negative effect on your day, just because it's going to make you tired. You're not going to be angry, groggy, you're not going to get nauseous or anything like that. And it's not at all like the drug NZT in the movie Limitless. It will have a positive effect. It's a nootropic. It enhances the function of the brain even after you stop taking it. But if you take a racetam, and I specifically take aniracetam 50 weeks out of the year, I phase it out twice a week, or 2 weeks out of the year, so I can emotionally appreciate the effects that it has. I have not seen any studies, I have not experienced it for myself, none of my clients, my other trainers have experienced a downregulation in racetams, meaning that you can take it pretty much every day, 365 days a year for 10 years and not see an issue. I've known several people that have actually been on a racetam every day for that particular schedule, and they get as much benefit of it out of it today as they did 10 years ago. But we need that extra choline. Now, I said there were 3 choline sources. We're going to cover those, and we'll circle back to the racetams. There's DMAE, there's alpha GPC, and there's CDP choline. Now, I'm not going to say the chemical names for those because my monotone voice, my tendency to stutter, and my Arkansas accent will make it unintelligible. But we'll start with the vanilla of those 3, the DMAE. I like to take that almost every day because it is just bulk choline. And whether I'm taking aniracetam that week or not, or that day or not, there's one day out of the week, usually on Sunday, that I don't take it just because I won't be seeing clients. But it's a really good bulk choline. And I'm a very big fan of it because for my back issues that will penetrate into the torso, my legs, my arms, it can affect my mood, it can affect the quality of my sleep, just because of that constant nervous system stress from my back injuries. I have noticed that supplementing with 350 to 700 milligrams of the DMAE has a positive effect on all of those things. Will it have the same effect for you? Possibly, but I usually recommend it for anybody that's in a high-stress intellectual job. If you have a lot of physical things to do, pretty much anybody that's living in the 21st century can benefit from choline supplementation, especially through DMAE. Now, that's the vanilla. Now we're going to talk about like the wild raspberry and the blueberry of cholines, just because these are they're very different and they're very specific in their action. First, let's cover the body, alpha GPC. This is going to enhance the mind-muscle connection. You're going to have more proprioceptive control, more awareness, and more focus on what you're doing. I like alpha GPC as part of a pre-workout or a pre-movement, pre-learning, or pre-physical learning like dance, martial arts, anything like that, dosing. Alpha GPC is going to enhance how you feel in your body, the total control you have of your body, your ability to move through space, your understanding of where you're at, and it's going to help be a little choline booster or a bolster for taking an aniracetam, or excuse me, taking a racetam, whether it's anti, oxy, or peri-racetam. I can't pronounce that correctly, but we're about to get back to those. Now, we talked about the body, the alpha GPC. Let's move to the mind. CDP choline. You're going to notice that you drop into the zone very quickly with this. You're very focused. You're in a good mood, but you're very focused on what you're doing at that particular time, in particular on learning things. If you have to study anything, if you have to watch a set of videos, if you have to go to a lecture, if you're just doing anything, if you just need to pick up more of what's going on in your environment, CDP choline is an excellent material to help you with that. Now, I've been talking about this aniracetam a lot. What is a racetam? A racetam is a drug which is going to have a positive nootropic effect on the brain. Aniracetam that I keep talking about is probably, it's not vanilla, but it's a slightly heavier version of vanilla, if that makes any sense, of the racetam family. It's going to enhance everything that we talked about. It's going to enhance those functions that we spoke about, but it's probably middle of the road as far as overall power. Peri-racetam is actually something I've seen in very different situations. My youngest brother, as some of my clients know, I don't know if anybody on YouTube or Facebook knows, but my youngest brother has Down syndrome. And several years ago, he was supplementing with piracetam. And we saw an increase in his communication skills. His memory seemed to improve. His mood seemed to improve. His verbal skills, everything improved. But we didn't know at the time to supplement with choline. I'm not sure that anybody did at the time he was taking it, the mid to late 90s. But piracetam works in the same way as aniracetam, but it's not as strong, its half-life is less. It's not going to be the best choice. For most people, I recommend staying away from it just because it's not the most effective version, especially considering the cost per volume compared to aniracetam. Now, if aniracetam is going to last you all day, oxiracetam is very much the opposite. This is 100% mental focus. I also often pair it whenever I take it with CDP choline. It's going to help you zone in and focus on one particular task. And you're going to get about 2 solid hours out of oxiracetam. Whenever you study, you're going to read faster than you've ever read before. You're going to be able to remember things that you read, not for a day or a week or a month, but for years and years. After you take oxiracetam, you'll be able to remember reams of data, no matter what it was, whether you were interested in it, whether you were normally would be put to sleep by the information. Oxiracetam is going to help you remember that and make it an integral part of your knowledge base. But it does force you to burn through so much choline, you have to take a supplement with it. And even then, you've got that 2 hours, and after that, you're going to crash, you're going to be very sleepy. You're probably going to sleep for a solid 8 to 10 hours, have some pretty wicked dreams, usually realistic but very calm dreams. At least that's what I've found on the 4 times that I've cycled through it. Now, there are some things that we didn't cover today. We talked about basic nootropics, and again, all the sources I use for everything is down below, and I have even the formula that I use for my nootropic stack. All that is below in the description. I've also got links to daledugas.com for the deep dive jowl for joint health. I really can't recommend it highly enough. It's amazing stuff, and it's beneficial whether you're martial arts, whether you're not. It's just going to help every single joint, every single muscle in your body function. Again, it's topical. You don't have to drink it. It smells good. I'm not sure how it would taste. The protein and everything, I recommend buying it from a local store or ordering it from bodybuilding.com if you're outside of the SBC and you don't have access to Ironworks Sports Nutrition. Powerade Zero is a really great electrolyte drink. I think most people would benefit from that. I don't think that you should drink it in the volume that I do. I drink it that much just because of all the physical stuff I have to do. I get thirsty for a very specific thing, and so far, Powerade Zero is the only thing that's been able to quench that for me. Guys, if you have any other topics you'd like me to talk about, in particular those supplements that I did not address today, like multivitamins, aside from the don't take it thing, specific vitamins that you're interested in, please let me know. Again, the base description for everything is down in the description. Guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope it wasn't too disjointed, and we'll see you on the next video. Talk to you soon.